crashing into Cedar Hollow, when a sudden sharp knock jolted me out of bed. I stumbled to the front door, clearing sleep from my eyes, and opened it to find a young woman, barely over 21, standing there, as if she had a right to be there. She wore designer jeans, oversized sunglasses, and clutched a sparkly blue clipboard. Behind her stood two older women hovering their plastic smiles, barely concealing their hope. "Sign these," she snapped, thrusting the clipboard into my chest. I scowled, dazed. "Sign what?" She tossed her hair back in a whirl of drama. "I'm Chloe Bennett, new HOA president. We're expanding the neighborhood. Your ranch is in our way." "Sign it over now." I laughed, assuming she was joking. "No way." Her face twisted like she'd stomped through something filthy. "I'm not asking. I'm telling you, I've got a brunch in 3 hours, so let's move on with this." I started to close the door, but she jammed her foot in the gap sign, "Or I'm calling the cops," she snarled. "Go ahead," I said, crossing my arms. She brought out her phone, dialing 911 using a manicured finger, her smirk daring me to blink. "This is gonna get nasty," I grumbled as her voice became syrupy. Sweet. "Officer, there's a hostile man intimidating me. I'm scared." Teardrops glistened in her eyes as she clutched the phone, her entourage cooing, like she was a damsel in distress. Sirens wailed in the distance, and my heart pounded harder. Chloe thought she'd won, but she'd started a war she could never win 3 weeks ago. Life on my ranch was heaven. I'm Jake Harlan, 38, and I'd invested every dime I'd made from years of constructing lawn care and odd labor into this 40-acre slice of freedom. A humble house, a few horses, a chicken coop, and a big garden. It wasn't much, but it was mine. Half a mile away, the Paneer Crest subdivision had exploded with gaudy mansions and thundering sports cars. Whispers of a soon-to-be HOA reached me, but I didn't care. My land was agricultural beyond their grasp. Or so I thought. One day, a shiny white SUV pulled up my driveway. Out stepped Chloe in a glittery dress, strutting around my property as if she were inspecting it. "Hey," I called, stepping off the porch. "Can I help you?" She glared at me as if I was dirt on her tail. "Mow your lawn, tanking property values?" I blinked. "It's a ranch. It's supposed to look like this." She snorted. "Whatever you're getting a fine from who me?" she said, tapping a badge pinned to her dress. "HOA president." I laughed. "You can't find me. I'm not in your HOA." Her jaw dropped. "You'll be. We voted to accept your ranch." I stared, amazed. Could they do that? "No, not happening," I protested. "Hands off my property." She stamped her heel and kicked up dust. "You'll be sorry," she spat, taking pictures of my house, my chickens, even my work boots, and speeding off like a bullet. The harassment accelerated. A glittery letter arrived informing me to mow my fields, paint my barn, and get rid of my livestock or face legal action. Then the emails, fake fines, and Chloe hanging around my property line, taping with her phone, "Wannabe dictator." One morning, I discovered a for sale sign planted in my pasture, prime development land, "Contact Chloe." I tore it down, rage boiling. This wasn't a prank. It was an incursion. I phoned my buddy Tom, a lawyer, who laughed. "They have no jurisdiction. Your land's inviolable," relieved. I returned to my work, but Chloe's second act changed everything. That morning, as the police cruisers screeched up my driveway, I stood on the porch, deed in hand. Chloe ran to the officers, crying theatrically, "He threatened me. He's dangerous." Officer Ryan Tate, a stern man wearing mirrored sunglasses, looked at me, stepped down, hands visible. I obeyed, explaining, "She's trying to steal my land." Chloe cried, "He's lying. I'm protecting our community." The second officer, Lisa Carter, demanded proof. I produced my deed. But before Tate could look at it, a shout rang out. Chloe had climbed on my tractor, messing around with the controls. "Get down!" Tate yelled, but she turned on the ignition. The tractor lurched, bucking toward my chicken coop. I released the deed and took off after it, quickly in my throat. Chloe laughed, careening wildly as the machine smashed through the coop, splintering wood and scattering feathers. My H squawked with terror, and my horses whinnied in the pasture up ahead. "Stop!" I yelled, leaping in front of the tractor to spook the horses clear. Carter leaped onto the machine, struggling with the controls, until it sputtered to a halt. Chloe began stumbling forward, screaming. I gazed at my horses, shaken but whole. Carter cuffed Chloe, who yelled, "You can't arrest me. My dad owns this town, Tate snapped. You're under arrest for trespassing, property damage, and reckless endangerment. As they pulled her toward the cruiser, one of her friends approached. You'll drown in lawsuits, she spat. Bring it, I growled. That night, a black sedan pulled up. A man in a fitted suit threw an envelope on my porch. You've been served, he grinned. Within Chloe's lawsuit asserted my ranch for emotional distress and community harm. My stomach groaned. She could spin me around, dragging this out till I cracked, but I wasn't giving up. The next morning, I called every lawyer I knew. Most blocked at Chloe's deep pockets. Defeated, I sat on my truck's tailgate staring at my fields. Then a dusty pickup pulled up. An older man in flannel emerged. I'm Henry Walsh, he said, shaking my hand. Retired county judge. Heard you're in a battle I starred. How'd you know? He grinned. HOA drama spreads fast. My son lives in Pinterest. Chloe's bullying everybody. He handed me a folder full of proof. Fake fines, threatening letters, illegal votes. She's counting on you caving, he said. Let's fight back stronger. Hope arose. We wrote a countersuit exposing Chloe's deception, and Henry's lawyer friend picked up my case pro bono. For a couple of days, quiet flowed. Down neighbors who were once strangers came over with casseroles and offers to fix my coop. But Chloe wasn't done. One evening, a procession of SUVs and a news van came racing up. Chloe led the way, a reporter at her side. How does it feel to ruin our community? The journalist shouted, thrusting a mic into my face. Cameras clicked as Chloe stood scowling me for occupying land. The mob shouted, Sell the ranch. I shouted, You're trespassing. But they paid no heed, citing a fake public interest permit. Incensed, I locked myself inside, taping from the window as Henry warned. They raged for hours before leaving. The next morning, my gate was vandalized with red paint. Greedy loser. A sign read HOA property. I phoned the sheriff, who issued another report. She's frantic. Henry said we're nearly there, a restraining order. Then they sent in the bulldozer. At sunset, Chloe led up with a team of construction workers announcing my land was annexed. The bulldozer groaned towards my fence as she waved surreptitious permits. This is illegal, I shouted. Filming? The driver hesitated, but Chloe shouted, Tear it down. As the blade came close to touching sheriff's trucks, roared in spotlights blazing. Sheriff Dan Holt came over. What's this? Chloe pretended to cry. He's a threat. I presented Hall with the video. His expression turned hard. Everyone off this property now. Chloe exploded. I know Judge Carter Holt loomed over her. I don't care who you know, you're trespassing. I pressed charges and deputies took her away. Days afterward, an unmarked envelope showed up on my porch. Leave or else. Then my barn was vandalized. Get out. Soon I reported each episode, nerves unraveling. Henry and neighbors assisted in repainting, whispering that Chloe's father, a tycoon, was in federal trouble for operating a scam scheme. She's breaking, Henry declared. One night, 3 SUVs pulled up, pouring hooded men with crowbars and a can of gasoline. They took over my barn, one flicking a lighter. I grabbed my shotgun and yelled, Stop! They were paralyzed. I fired a warning shot in the air and ran as sirens wailed. Deputies were able to catch them after receiving a phone with a note from Chloe. Make it an accident. No witnesses. My blood ran cold. She tried to burn my ranch, and maybe worse, Chloe was arrested for conspiracy to commit arson. Felony charges piling up. Her father's influence couldn't bail her out. His own legal troubles added to the scandal. The town bussed, neighbors brought pies and praise. You gave us courage, said Ellen, a Pinterest mom. In court, Chloe's tears and excuses didn't cut it against the evidence, videos, texts, witness statements. The judge sent her to prison and sent her family to pay $800,000 for damages adequate to rebuild stronger. Standing on my porch in the evening, horses grazing, new fences gleaming, I was peaceful. Children biked by, waving their parents, relating the tale of the rancher who refused to back down. Chloe thought money bought everything, but I refuted her. Respect isn't sold at its due, and once the stars came out, I lay back basking in the freedom I'd fought hard to.